key is to picture everybody naked.
Today marks a big day in my life. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate this milestone with me. I never would have thought on December 27th, 1992, that 20 years later I'd be standing here, retiring from the Air Force. I started this journey to do something different. My grandfather served in World War II and my dad served in Vietnam. So there is a little history here. I've learned so much from so many, from my first supervisor, Staff Sergeant Jeff Campbell, and Staff Sergeant Troy Day. These guys taught me what being ammo was all about. I can only hope I've done as good a job as preparing the next generation as they have done in preparing me. We worked hard and we played even harder. We had some extremely long nights in the 30 mil bay in Vegas. I never knew that work could be so hard until I met these guys. I spent a year and a half with these guys, and they for sure helped mold me to the NCO that I became. I know many who complain of bad supervisors, not me. I was lucky, I guess. From Vegas, I went to Kunsan, Korea in 1994. We all know how that assignment went. I remember none of it. I remember working long hours and partying when not on duty. Many exercises, way too many to count. Korea was a blur. I made some great friends there, I think. September 95, I was lucky enough to get the dream assignment to Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. I spent the most important years of my life there. I got there as an airman and I left as an NCO. I also met my lovely wife Shannon there. In October of 1996, we got married. She was and continues to be the best thing that ever happened to me. She's been a trooper. We've moved several times and she's always had to start over. Being a military wife has to be much harder than being the actual military member. Thank you, baby, and I love you. I also became a dad there. That put a new perspective on things. Eglin is also where I got my first taste of a deployment. I went to Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia and spent 4 months there. I left on a Tuesday morning and on Thursday the towers were attacked. 18 Americans were killed and several hundred injured. My roommate was blown out of bed and got a Purple Heart. This made me realize what we did wasn't all fun and games, that it was serious business. In '99, I was stationed in Aviano, Italy. I got there right after the war in Kosovo, so we were extremely busy. I spent nearly 2 years there, and about half of that time I was deployed. I got my first real taste of leadership as I was handpicked to lead a TDY for about 90 days. This short period taught me how to manage my people, my time, and my resources. Tough experiences for a young staff sergeant, but one I wouldn't change for the world. I've never shied away from a challenge. That's something Staff Sergeant Campbell and Staff Sergeant Day instilled in me from day one. 2 short years later, I came back to the States and was stationed at Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina. Pope was a busy place. Not long after arriving, I was shipped off to Iraq for a nice 8-month deployment. My daughter was 2 months old when I left. When I returned, I applied for and was chosen for special duty so I could be home with my family. I got to spend 2 years in a row at home with my wife and my 2 kids. This was a blessing and it was long overdue. My son at this point was about 8 years old and I'd missed over half of his life. From this point on, my focus changed. I figured out what was truly important and that was my family. I love my job, I love the camaraderie, and I had fun doing it, but I wasn't going to sacrifice my family if I could help it. It probably cost me at least 1 strike, but that's okay. The family time and experiences we had together were much more important. When I was home, I was home. From Pope, we all made the journey to our last stop, Moody Air Force Base, Georgia. Soon after, like 3 months, boxes barely unpacked, I led another TDY to Djibouti, Africa. Super experience. I even got to play and pet a cheetah there. Upon returning, I was given the opportunity to run a few different duty sections, something uncommon for a young tech sergeant. I had upwards of 50 individuals that I was responsible for and millions of dollars worth of equipment. I took this very seriously and hope you guys and gals that work for me know I did all I could do to help you along the way and to keep the BS away from you. The higher you got in rank, the more BS you had to deal with. I'd like to thank my sons Ryan and KJ, and my daughter Paige for our understanding when Daddy had to go to those faraway places for months at a time. It wasn't easy being away from y'all, but I wanted and did my best to make this world a safer place for you and millions of others. To my wife Shannon, there isn't anything I could say to express my thanks to you for putting up with this life. You have sacrificed more than I can imagine. When God made the military spouse, He made a special breed. Thank you for allowing me to do what I did and putting up with all that came along with it. To the young airmen sitting in the audience here today, my advice to you would be work hard and soak up all you can from the good ones. You know who they are. You guys are way smarter than most of us give you credit for. Learn from everyone, the good and the bad. Take on more responsibility than you should. It will only help you in the long run. Continue this tradition of service and help keep this great nation of ours on top. Thank you for letting me be a part of your lives and know that I cared about you not just as an airman, but as a person. I hope I displayed that in my guidance, and if I can ever help you, you know how to find me. Thank you all for coming today to celebrate this milestone with me. God bless you, God bless America, and the ones who defend her.